Now we'll get out. And not with my hands on my head.
I would never have left the cockpit with my hands on my head. After all I had been through, I would not be punished like a child.
When we saw Bernard and Alain come out, we couldn't believe it. Alain was handcuffed and his shirt was covered in blood. He said, "I'm deaf, I'm deaf." But we said, "Yes, but you're alive." We told him, "He's our flight engineer, let him go." It was incredible.
For 20 minutes, the gun battle has raged on board the crowded aircraft. Hundreds of shots have been fired, numerous grenades exploded. Yet all 173 passengers and crew have survived. Captain Delem himself escaped with bullet wounds to his right elbow and thigh.
The crew had a specific responsibility, the duty to save the hostages and to safeguard the plane. The crew in general and the captain in particular, they all rose to the occasion.
9 of the 30 GIGN men have been wounded, one seriously.
When I assessed the gravity of the GIGN men's injuries, and when we learned that none were fatal, then yes, I could consider that the operation overall had been a success.
Out of the 161 passengers who survived the hijacking, only a few have suffered slight injuries. A huge relief to the French Prime Minister.
I cannot say that I was calm that day, but I considered that there was no other decision to be made than the one I took. So the only thing that was left for me was to hope that things would unfold well. And as a matter of fact, they unfolded exceptionally well. I would not have dreamed that they would go that well.
All the French Special Forces and the crew members received high national honors for their courage.
For a long time, I kept seeing the faces of the 3 dead passengers that I couldn't save. Then, when the time of the medals came, I realized that I had helped save 170 people. It's a lot more gratifying, and it allowed me to mourn and get over it. I don't wear the medal, but I'm proud of having it, and I consider that we deserved it. We only did what we were supposed to. Our job.
It was a textbook mission, one of the most successful anti-terrorist operations ever carried out. But the traumatic experience will never leave the survivors. Zahida Kakachi, the passenger, could not stay in Algeria. She became so anxious about her safety, she emigrated to France. Stewardess Claude Berniard was thanked by Air France, but never worked for them again. Christophe Morin suffered the same fate. Since this horrific experience, his outlook on life has changed radically. He now works for a charitable organization. Captain Delem eventually returned to flying duties. After a further 9 years of service, he's recently retired from Air France. Later, a former leader of the Algerian terrorist groups, Omar Chiki, confirmed that the plan had been to blow up the plane over the Eiffel Tower, the symbol of the French nation. Hundreds might have been killed when the plane crashed down onto the crowded streets of Paris. They never tried again, and the world would forget this hijacking. Until 7 years later.
I went to do some shopping and I bumped into a friend who said, "A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center." I went home and stayed sitting in front of the television for 24 hours. I couldn't move or eat or do anything. All those images came back to me, and I asked myself, is that what was supposed to happen to us? Above all, I kept thinking, we had apprentice terrorists, boys who didn't understand very well what they were doing. But voila, they taught everyone a lesson.